Hey, hi, hello guys. Welcome back to Code with Nani channel. So for few days, due to this technical problems, I was unable to continue the video. So from now on, you'll get daily videos, and during some weekends, I'll post conceptual things of DSA as well. And but daily you will receive a lead code problem of the day solution with keen explanation and the clean code. So what are you waiting for? Let's get into the video. So today's problem, lead code problem of the day, is an easy question. So maximum ascending subarray sum. So given an array of positive integers num, return the maximum possible sum of an ascending subarray in nums. So so what is an subarray? So subarray is a contiguous element. Like suppose I'll write from here. Suppose if I j, like if you take an elements, suppose 0 1 2 3 4, suppose you take this subarray from here to here, but the indexes should be contiguous, which means like you cannot skip second index and directly go and choose 1 3 and 4 as well. Like we cannot choose the index as 1 3 4 because the it should be a contiguous, because 2 is missed here. So what is a subarray? So subarray is a contiguous part of a subpart of an array. So, like you can say that. So 0 can be a subarray, 1 can be a subarray, 2 or 3 or 4. So individual elements can be a subarray. 0 1 can be a subarray, 1 2 can be subarray, 2 3 can be subarray, 2 4 and so on. Like a contiguous elements can be a subarray. So what's the question about this problem statement is like, um you can pick any subarray, but that, like you can pick any subarray, like the length, any length of 1 2 3, any length, but 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 what he's trying to say is, like if you pick, like let's take this example which is given in the sample test case, 5 10 50. Suppose if you pick this subarray part, then it should be increasing. So compare this, as it is increasing, so it is an increasing subarray. So what he is trying to ask is, we need to return the maximum subarray sum such that it should be contiguous and it should be increasing. So which means, like if you take this entire subarray, which is 10 20 30, it is increasing. Yeah, it is increasing. And if you add the sum is 60, right? 60. So it can be a possible answer, but what he is asking is, we need to return the maximum subarray. So suppose if you take this subarray, suppose take 5 10 50 as the subarray, what is the total sum? 15 and 50 65. So it is maximum 60 or 65. So 65 is the maximum answer. So we need to return that 65 as the subarray. Got it? Suppose let's take another example. Example number 3, 12 17 15, 13, 10, 11, and 12. So if you take, these two are not increasing, so we cannot take this. Suppose if and we cannot take these as well, but these two are increasing. Yeah, sorry, these two are increasing. So 12 plus 17 and 29, and it's not increasing. And from here to here is also not increasing. From here to here, this is also not increasing. But here, if you take this element, these parts are part of the array, subarray, 10, 11, 12, it is increasing, monotonically increasing. That's it. So what is the sum? 10, 20, 30, 33. So what is the maximum answer? Max of 29, 33. So we are returning 33. That is the answer. Let's check the example. Yeah, 33. So if you ask me, how do we code? So you'll get, everyone gets the question like, how do we code this element? So what my intuition is, like generally iterate two elements, like iterate from 0 to n. On each iteration, suppose if current element if current element is current element and the previous element. So I'm comparing. I'm not generally you can go with this approach as well. Like you can go from 0 to n and you can compare the current element and the next element as well. But if you do this approach in the last iteration, in the final iteration, you need to sometimes you need to compare write another conditional statement to compare the previous statement. So what generally I prefer is I'll iterate from 1 to n and I'll check on each iteration with the previous element. Suppose we are in the first case, so I'll check with the previous element, right? 0th case. So I'll compare these two, 0th index and previous index and as well as the current index. So that's how I iterate through the array. So what I do is what I do, so I'll iterate from 1 to 1 to n elements. On each iteration, I'll compare the previous element with the current element. Suppose if current element is greater than the previous element, which means it's increasing, right? Because if current element is better than the previous element, it means it increasing. So instead of putting a condition, breaking condition, so current is greater than previous and adding it to, what I can do is just just take a reverse out of this. Suppose if previous is greater than current element, which means it is decreasing element, then I make sum as 0 simply, which means like I will count from the next element. So right now it's a decreasing element, so I wouldn't consider it's a case. So from next iteration I'll consider from the next element and I'll add the sum, and I also store a answer that gets maximum of answer comma sum. There may be a 2 or 3 possibilities with a different sum, so I need to return the max out of it and sum to track of the maximum increasing subarray sum. Okay, got it? So what I do, I'll iterate from 1 to n. So in each case, if array of our current element is less than or equal to previous element, which means like we are decreasing, then in that case sum equal to 0. Else sum plus equal to array of I, which means like I'm adding the elements because it's an increasing statement, right? So then on each iteration I'll just compare with the I'll store the maximum out of it answer comma sum. So that is easy peasy. So let's just get into the code editor and just solve in the Leetcode. So I'll zoom it so that it will be visible to everyone. So what I'm doing, make it as n size of the array, and I'm just putting sum equal to nums of 0 comma equal to nums of 0. So why I'm doing this? Because I already told you I'm not checking with the 0th element and I'm not checking with the current element with the next index. What I'm doing is I'm just starting from the first index to the nth index and checking the previous element. So for that first check, the sum has to be a like suppose let's take this case. I'll tell you. Suppose if the element is in decreasing order, suppose if the elements in like 30, 20, 10, 5. So if the elements is decreasing order, so I'm starting from here. So what is the maximum sub array? Like you can just pick this index and the maximum sub is 30. So for that sake, I'm just storing the 0th element in beforehand in that sum variable and answer as well as the max 0th element, so that I can check with another elements and can proceed it. So for that case, I'm just storing initializing the variables in beforehand. So yeah, and I'll just loop it from 1 to n. Suppose if any case nums of in any case nums of I, which means the current index, is less than or equal to nums of previous index, which means it is in a decreasing order, right? In that case, what I do, I'll just simply put sum as 0. Otherwise, I'll just add it to the sum. Nums of I and answer is equal to max of answer comma just sum, and in the end just return the sum. you you can even do you can even iterate from the 0th index to the nth index, and you can compare with the current index with the next index, which is nums of I to the nums of I plus 1. But I generally used to prefer this way, so you can do whatever you want and just submit the code. Yeah, yeah, done. So if you like if you understand the solution, and if you find my video interesting, and like if you find it interesting, do like the video, subscribe to my channel, share the video. And that's it for the today video, guys. Thank you. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.